On this episode, we talk about a strategy that really fed and created a predictable pipeline for them, where they created an online course and they did it just by their strategic process that they already had in their organization. So it was fairly quick, and they started getting a ton of business, both for the course, but also just feeding the agency. So I think you're really going to like this episode. Hey, Chase, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, before we jump into the topic we're going to talk about today, tell us about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my name is Chase Chappell, and I have an agency and an online course, and we're growing.
That's awesome.
We manage Facebook ads, and that's our single service. And we also offer a Facebook ads course, and we're doing really well right now.
So how did you get into the agency space?
Yeah. So when I was in school, I ended up having a professor, an advertising teacher, and I ended up getting some interest there. And I ended up basically, to make this story pretty quick, I ended up wanting to do social media for businesses because I was managing my own page and growing an influencer page. And basically what ended up happening was, I ended up growing this page pretty fast on my own. And I was like, I could probably do this for small businesses as well. And so I ended up in the beginning just going door to door in the local town square, pitching businesses. And I was also posting on social media about how I'm working so hard to go get these businesses. Little did I know that, I was getting clients from my actual social media post versus actually just going door to door. And that basically made me realize the power of it right then and there. And then from that moment forward, I just started landing clients, and then really everything took off from there.
Very cool. And, there's always a challenge in growing and that kind of stuff. And the reason why I wanted to have you on was talk about kind of your unique way of generating clients. Now, I always have my mastermind members and some one-on-one clients coming to me saying, Jason, I'm thinking about creating a course for the market I'm going after. Is it a good idea? And we always have these good, healthy debates going back and forth. And the biggest thing I always say is like, well, if it sets you up as the market leader, right? Like I always believe that, one of the major roles of agency CEO is to be the front face of the organization.
Right.
Right. And creating a program or some kind of training material can help do that for you. So how did you kind of come into saying like, I'm going to design a course to get some clients?
Absolutely. Yeah. So with our agency, we were working with medium and large size businesses, right? And so we would have all these small businesses come up to us wanting to work with us. And we were turning down a lot of opportunities just because either A, they didn't have enough spend, or, they were just so fresh to the start that it didn't make sense for us to have a team manage them just because they were so early on in the beginning. And because we were missing so many opportunities there that, it really made me realize we could end up working with a lot more people if we just had, an actual online program that we could get people into. And really, I realized that we actually had developed our own system with Facebook ads and how we generated results for medium-sized businesses. And we're so well at it. And this is like a practice that we repeat literally every single time to get the same result. And we got so good at that it was like, I need to just go ahead and package this up and actually put in a program teaching small businesses how they can do this and how they can grow using, the system we use for clients as well. And as soon as we ended up launching that actual online course, we ended up getting so many people in there initially that what ended up happening was we led to, basically people referring us business because they would get a ton of results. They would see that, hey, this stuff really works. The system we applied, it worked. And they'll refer somebody that they know that either has a larger business and we get them as an agency client. And that was really when we realized there was a lot of indirect results from this as well, even though, this was mainly for small businesses. And then we'd have people that would take off within, a few months of doing this program, and their business would grow so quickly that they'd say, hey, we want you guys to manage this. And we'd be like, what do you mean? They're like, we want to hire your agency to do this for us. And keep in mind, they originally went through the course. So the moment that happened, we'd end up landing clients that way. And then with all the advertising, people would end up realizing there's some authenticity in having an online program that we found. And when people would see our ads constantly, they would end up finding out we'd have an agency because they would end up doing research. Everybody wants to end up making sure they can trust. And that's totally fine. And when they do end up doing the research, they find out that we have an agency and they want to reach out there. So there's a lot of entryways for new clients just from having that one singular online course.
How did it not distract you from the day-to-day stuff that you need to do within the agency? Because a lot of times, in order to build a predictable revenue stream for the agency, there's so many different things you have to do. And sometimes when you're developing a product or a course, it sometimes distracts you. So how did you not let it distract you? Or just saying, like, because people listening, like, they'll be like, I need to go do a course. And then they'll go do a course and they'll take their foot off the agency, and then their course sucks, and then their agency down the tubes.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, that's exact. Yeah. So basically, in order to keep focus on getting client results as well, while building the actual course, one, we also had a team in place. So we were already servicing those clients. And when we ended up launching this new course, we hadn't taken on any new clients that very first that month of launching it as well. And alongside that, since we're whitelisted, basically meaning a larger agency is managing the client relationship for us and we're doing the actual day-to-day work, it doesn't require us to manage that actual relationship on that level. And so really we were in a perfect position for maintaining results, as well as since we have systems in place that there's so much consistency in what we do. There really was no spikes in anything that would have caused chaos or anything like that when launching the actual program. And because we knew exactly how we were going to create it and we knew exactly what our system was, since we know it so well, it was very easy to lay it out because we had already done this for training people who joined our team. So since it was already built out there, it really only came down to shooting the videos, and there's really not much editing that went into it because all of it was really done because we know how to do it. And for that reason, it was launched pretty fast without any chaos happening.
Yeah, I like it that it was pretty much already developed because that's your process. A lot of times people are like, I'm going to create this course on something totally new. And, then it kind of just, it doesn't work.
Exactly.
So how do you create a course that really separates itself from everybody else out there? Because it seems like there's like, I don't even hardly go on Facebook anymore other than going into my Facebook groups, just because I get so many ads from people talking about buy this course, buy this course, buy this course. So how do you get over that?
Yep, that's a huge thing. So one, it's because of the audience we're going after. So partially is because we're going after professionals and business owners that are already having some success, or they're already in a financial position that has worked well for them. The other thing is the key differentiator is basically, rather than just teaching something general, copying, or just using other strategies that other people have that are just one-time strategies that get results one time, and then the following month they're totally gone, or just putting everything in there that you could possibly think of just so that way something lands and could be considered a good course. We actually never ended up doing any of those things. Really, the main focus that we had was, okay, we have a 4-phase process that we use in our agency. It is proprietary. We know that nobody else has it. We developed it because after $1 million in advertising spend, we were able to say, okay, what are the key components that we're doing in every single ad account with our clients that has successfully generated results for them? And whenever we looked at everything in those ad accounts, we realized that there was a process that was being repeated every time to get a similar result. And we had clients that were running the same ads and same target audiences for the past 2 years, even with algorithm changes. And most of the time, that's completely unheard of. Most people are having to refresh creative within like 6 weeks. They're also having to change their audiences, and it's just something they can't hit, or they come across a one-time strategy and get results. But we ended up saying, okay, here's the 4-phase process, and we're going to package this up and actually use this as our system and our training and provide that to people. And really, the only way that somebody else could get that is either purchasing the online program and using it.
Do you worry about your competitors buying that?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's welcome. So I'm all for making sure people are getting results and helping people. If another agency does it, that's totally fine with me. Because if we end up helping other businesses get results, that's really what it's about. Of course, there's already enough competition to begin with. And since we're always improving and we're always changing things and we're always, implementing new ideas and we're staying innovative, I feel if we just keep doing that and we're doing it for the right reasons, we'll always be able to, piece ourselves out from a lot of competition.
How often are you updating the program? I'm trying to give people a gauge because, I remember years ago, I had part of a program that talked about Facebook ads in there of how to do it when it was new. And I've deleted that a couple of years ago because it kept changing and I didn't want to keep updating it. So how much time do you guys spend in updating your program?
That's such a great question. So right before I sat down, and because I knew this was going to be a thing, right? They're going to update the platform, the dashboard's going to change, and it's totally going to, require us to update. So what initially happened was I was like, okay, what is it that we can teach? We can teach the actual system and how it works, the fundamentals of it, the actual guiding principles behind it, what makes sense for it, without actually showing the inside of the ads manager to begin with. So we built out the entire program without actually going into the actual Facebook ads manager, basically explaining all the principles and really getting people to understand their own position and how they can generate results. And that has helped significantly with not having to worry about big changes happening to design and people having to basically us relaunch the entire program. Now, on the second hand, the question is, how do people know what buttons to click? How do they know where to go? So right below each video, we actually have the tutorials, which are the actual guiding of going through the ads manager. And those will have to be updated. But since this is so new and there hasn't, we're always on the front facing changes. We get beta access. And since when you're partnered with Facebook, you get early releases. So that also helps with staying ahead. But yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to having to update some videos at some point. But generally speaking, we kept the entire program really touching on the major points without having to show the actual ads manager and the core content.
Very cool. Well, it's definitely an interesting approach of what you guys are doing about creating a program in order to generate business. Both, it's kind of nice too. I mean, there's no such thing as passive income, but it's kind of nice when people buy a program and you don't have to do anything else. But then it's nice when that program feeds to other things. So this has all been amazing, Chase. Is there anything I did not ask you that you think would benefit the audience?
Let's see. In terms of benefiting, I think that if people are going to launch ads to get clients, the main thing would really just be that they really need to call out who they want as a customer in their actual ads, because that's a huge point. So many people think it's coming down to the targeting, which is a big part of it. But if you don't know who your customer is and if you're not calling them out, you can't really expect that you're going to have people converting on your ads from whatever targeting you choose to do, because your messaging is just not clear.
Yeah, very good. Awesome. What's the agency website people can check you out on?
Yep. So the agency website's Chappell Digital Marketing, and then the actual online programs on chasechappell.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the episode. I know I did. Please share it out with a fellow agency owner. You'll help them out. You'll help us out. Make sure you also subscribe to the podcast. I never hardly ever ask you to do that. And actually leave a comment, especially if you guys have been listening to this for years and years. That's something I haven't done either. I ask for comments. I read them all. So make sure you leave a comment. And then until next time, have a swank day.